Okay. All right. You ready?
I'm
I'm going to
ready.
get him on the phone
I'm
here.
ready as I can be.
What?
Hey, Watt. This is John and Mindy calling from Guaranteed Success Podcast.
Good morning,
Hi,
Mike Watt.
John. Good morning.
So, the focus of our interview today is Spielgusher. The album dropped today. It is out and available.
Yeah.
And where is that out? John said you bought it this morning, John. Where did you buy it at?
Yeah, I downloaded it on Amazon, and it's available on iTunes too. But yeah, I've been to it all morning. It's pretty cool. It's really good stuff.
Let's see. I started my own label, Quench Wrench. It's the third release, and I work in partnership with Org Music, so it can be gotten there too. Yeah, it's been a long time coming for this Spielgusher project. Richard Meltzer had given me spoken word pieces he recorded in 2004, so look at that. 7, 8 years. And actually, the roots of it goes back to when me and D. Boone and Georgie were Minutemen, and Richard was going to collaborate with us.
Right. That's why this seems like such an amazing project, because it started when all three of you guys were together, and now you're finishing it finally, and it's got to feel like so awesome to get this closure, to finish this dream.
Yeah, he had 10 for us then, and a lot of them are with this. I remember them. He gave me 48, and so there was 38 more he did besides that. But yeah, it is really neat. Me and D. Boone were huge Richard Meltzer students. He used to write in, he kind of invented rock write. He was in the Rolling Stone and Cream and Crawdaddy and stuff like this. And he also wrote lyrics for the Blue Oyster Cult, so this is how we first known him. Then he made books like The Aesthetics of Rock and Culture and stuff like this. And then he moved to L.A. He actually had a punk band called Vom and a radio show called Hepcats from Hell that we'd listen to, and he'd write in the L.A. Reader. He had a column there.
Nice.
So
you were exposed to him in all kinds of ways.
All kinds of ways. And then we got, the way the punk scene was, you actually got to meet people.
Right.
And that's how we met him.
That's awesome.
So, Watt, you said that Meltzer recorded. Did he recorded the spoken word in 2004?
Yeah, up in Portland, where he moved to from LA.
And so then you recorded the music and just married it up with the spoken word that he'd already done?
Yeah, I went to Japan, and in 3 days with this husband-wife music team, I improvised a bunch of musics. We picked those spoken words and we put them. Yeah, Mr. Shimmy, much respect to him, because he's done a lot of work mixing and editing. I went and chose which songs went with what and where they would be placed, but he actually did it. It was quite an undertaking.
Yeah, that's amazing.
First to get all the improvised musics into little jams, then to decide which one went to what and where, and then him mixing it. And then us putting it together. Had to come up with an order. Sort of like the Double Nickels dilemma we had when we had these 45 songs. How do we put these things in order?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I think you could drive yourself crazy almost, because you could, when you got that many tracks, you could just reprogram it, and I mean, how do you just?
Of course, but the idea was to try to make it like it was one big song.
The outcome that I heard of Spielgusher, I only heard one song so far, but from you, what you and Shimmy did, it sounds beautiful. All of you guys, you, Shimmy, Richard Meltzer, and Yuko, is that the drummer?
Yeah, she's an incredible drummer. Their English is not so strong, so they didn't really understand everything Richard was saying. Which might have been an advantage, because I did present it to some people who were kind of weirded out. People who don't go that far back in the punk scene, I don't know, the old days it was made out of trippy personalities. So it wasn't such a regular thing, so. But they really brought themselves to it. Like I said, they played with much earnestness.
That's awesome. Do you speak any Japanese? Or did you guys just speak music?
one, somebody would come up with a motif, and the other people would jump on it, and we'd practice it a couple times, and then record it. Like I said, it was only 3 days.
And that was 3 or 4 years ago that you did the music?
Yeah, it was in May of 2008. A lot of the work came, as far as time, after the fact.
Right.
We had to bring these things together. It's very unconventional way to make an album, but when you make albums, you can do stuff like this. It's kind of harder to do at a gig.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a very 21st century album, you know. It's intercontinental and over the span of years, and I think it's really it's really cool that we live in a world now, where you can do stuff like that and make these projects come together over
and it sounds so awesome.
Absolutely. Everybody always talks about all the lame things about today, but there's some good things too.
Yeah. And then Mindy hasn't heard the whole album yet, but there was a track that I heard this morning. It's one of the ones that's just spoken word. It's called Always. And Meltzer talks about he always picks up worms after the rain. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, I thought that was really cool because that's something Mindy does too. And
I do that.
Oh, yeah. For three of them, like I said, I was trying to come up with an order and stuff. And so for 3 of them, I thought, well, no music at all. And there's also 15 that have no spieler, just instrumentals.
Right.
And we wanted to make it like an interesting landscape. But I thought that one was good because it shows... Richard thought he was a little angry in a way, and he said our music made him more friendly. And I wanted to bring that out, that he's not just a crusty person.
I think you did.
That's great. Yeah, it's a very compassionate track. And so now that you guys have it recorded and released, are you guys going to gig it or get it out on the road at all?
That might be tough because different countries, states, and
right.
schedules and stuff like that, and there's a lot of parts.
Right. Yeah, do you guys even remember how to play all that stuff, or would you have to learn it all over again?
No, we like I said, somebody come up with a motif, we practice it a couple times, and then record it.
Right.
And move on to the next one. Remember, 3 days, 65 pieces of music, and it was sweaty in there. We were just moving and moving.
Yeah.
And so we never had to play it again after recording it. Right. Shimmy did have his buddy, Mr. Nago, come in there and put some extra guitar in a couple songs.
Okay.
But once it was done, it was done. Then the other kind of stuff came in the mixing and the editing. So just same way with Richard, you know, he gave his performances when he read his poems, and then we took it from there. So it was kind of a blend of, like, in the moment and then editing, mixing.
Yeah. I think that's cool, man. That's like a beautiful way to make a record because it's just, you know, instead of living with songs for a couple years and then putting them down, your record is instead like just this glimpse of a couple of days that happened in Japan that'll probably never happen again.
And some days in Portland there, too, with Richard.
Yeah.
Right. That is awesome. You are so musically diverse, Mike Watt. Are you aware of how musically diverse you are? It just seems like you are so open to play, you know, with so many different people. There are so many people who are kind of like music snobs, and you are not one of them, or you don't seem to be. Are you aware of how, like, open you are?
Philosophy or whatever is life is for learning. So if I keep putting my bass in situations that are interesting, challenging, maybe I stay in the learn mode, and that's what that's all about.
Right.
Right. No, and that definitely keeps you all kinds of good things. Young, healthy.
Bass is a trippy instrument, you know. Most human things, the more you do it, the more of it you do, you know. You learn how to do something, so more and more and more. But because of the physics of my instrument, actually the more notes, the smaller you get. So it's always a search for the right note. So you can learn. What I mean is, like, a good bass line can be a very simple one. So you can learn from a guy who's just started playing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And that's awesome that you're intelligent enough to pick up on that, or that your ego doesn't get in the way. And that's probably why you are so awesome. That's why so many people like you, because, you know, you don't let your ego get in the way of learning. You just listen, you go with where the music goes, and you but with your heart. That's one reason I love you, and I, don't even know you really well, but you are very inspiring. When I fell in love with the bass because of you, Mike Watt. When I saw you play the bass, it was like nobody had ever seen play the bass in my life. It was like the first time I've seen anybody play a bass. And nobody can compare to the way you do it, and it's because of the passion that you have. It's almost like you get lost, and you can see that joy spilling out of you, and it's wonderful.
You're very kind. Part of the politics of bass is we look good making the other guys look good.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that.
That is
I like
cool.
that. Interesting, I got on it because D. Boone's mom put me on. I didn't really know what it was because arena rock, we were too far away. And so I had to learn by doing. So actually I kind of wrestle bass. I'm learning how to play it, though.
So, hey, Watt, I got to ask you, since I got you on the phone here, you did some work with Jandek, is that right?
I played a gig with him.
Just one gig?
I was invited to play a gig with him a year ago in Orange County in Irvine.
Wow.
And, it was about a 100-minute song. It never stopped.
Okay.
Wow.
And a young man on drums, I think his name was DJ, from a band called Health.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that.
I'd never met him before that, and the representative from Corwood Industries, I never had met him in person. He's a really great cat. We talked a long time. Not much about the gig. I was waiting for him. I didn't want to push anything on him. So
Right.
And then finally getting near the thing, he goes, well, what do you think we're going to do? And he asked the drummer about Ginger Baker.
Uh-huh.
The guy didn't know who he was. I said, Cream? Oh, I think I heard he's a younger man. And then I thought to myself, I said, oh, Jack Bruce. So I asked the representative, Jack Bruce? He said, yeah, maybe. So he was pretty into it getting interpreted in the moment, I think.
Uh-huh.
And the drumming was really scary. He had never really done something like that. But he said he'd seen me do it with Perkins and Banyan.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, especially playing with Nels Klein, you learn this improvised thing.
Right.
And what Perk usually does is, keep kind of a tribal beat going, something. And so this kind of, I just said, keep the flow going and feel out where the other two guys. A lot of it's about listening. It was one of the greatest gigs I've had. I really enjoyed it.
That's cool.
The representative was very interesting.
Yeah, so what's he like? Like, when you guys sit around and talk, do you...
Oh, you know what? He knew a lot about the old days.
Yeah.
Well, he's a couple years older than I am. And he knew about the older days. Yeah, I don't think he's hide out in the woods.
Right.
Kind of guy. He knew about stuff.
Yeah.
He talked soft. He talked kind of steady, some pauses. He's not like over rambunctious or stuff like that, but then he's not intentionally weird or anything.
Right.
He's just very cool people. And I could tell we shared the same culture as far as the music. He comes from the punk scene.
Okay.
He knew all about that. He knew about the Bad Brains, and yeah.
That's excellent. I just think that's amazing. I mean, because I'm a big fan of Jandek and just very interested in him because he's such a strange character and such an interesting character and unique presence in the world of rock and roll, and that he's emerged in the last couple of years. And then I look and see that he's playing with Watt. It was just like the coolest collaboration ever. So I'm glad.
Yeah, I did tell him once, man, I'm a little scared.
Yeah.
And he goes to me, don't worry, man, this is right up your alley. Those were his words. Right up your alley.
That's cool.
And I think he's right.
Very, very happening cat.
So afterwards, does he recede back into the mist, or like do you get his phone number and you guys get to hang out now?
I don't know. See, it was the promoter who contacted me.
Okay.
And so I packed up my, I hugged him and said, thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
Anytime.
That's great.
And I got my boat and drove back to Pedro.
Hell yeah.
So how's the weather
But
out
I've
there in
heard that
Pedro?
he's done this. He goes to towns and finds a rhythm section and just does gigs.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, after I did it, I don't know, 6, 8 months later, I got a word from some cat in Canada who was asked to do the same thing, and he wanted some advice. And I told him what I thought would be happening, like, you know, listen to what he's doing, get in there, put out some of your persona, and at the same time help them communicate his ideas, get with the drummer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It is trippy, you know. All you know the guy for is, yeah, is all them records.
Right.
And I kind of thought he's going to give me a playlist from them. I kind of knew it was going to be something like that, improvised more than, because I was never given any songs or anything.
Well, yeah, and he's got like 1,000 songs, so where would you even begin?
Yeah, so you don't know what to expect, but I think that's kind of what he wanted. He wants something of the moment that was unique to the moment.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
coming from, you know, like I said, same kind of culture, I understood that very well. You know, I want to blow some minds,
Yeah.
including your own.
That's awesome. We've been talking for a while. Mindy, is there anything else you want to ask Watt about?
Oh my gosh, I could ask you all kinds
I
of
don't know.
questions.
We could do this all day.
Yeah, so is the weather beautiful out there in Pedro?
Yeah, the sun's out. We had rain when I got here Sunday. I just got back from Memphis. I recorded an album there that was just bass, drum, clarinet, sax, trumpet.
Wow.
2 sax players. Yeah, there's no guitar, no keyboard. And that was
And what
very
were you
interesting.
recording for?
An album called Mouthful. Another project.
Another
I think
project.
I'm making
You're
3
a busy
albums.
guy.
Yeah, I'm in the studio right now with George Hurley doing a fourth Unknown Instructors album. And at the end of the month, I'm going to record with Nils Klein's old bass player, Devin Hoff, the stand-up guy. So I'm doing 3 things.
You are a busy guy. I love it.
And Firehose is playing Coachella, is that right?
We're going to do a couple weeks of gigs.
That's
Edward and Georgie. Well, it was Edward actually asking me. He lives in Pittsburgh, and he was asking me if we could do some gigs. And I said, you know, we haven't played together for 18 years.
Yeah.
He always comes on stage like he was in Chapel Hill, and I played with him there, and he'd come to my gigs, you know, also in Pittsburgh, and come on and play a couple songs. We haven't done Firehose for all that time.
Right.
So, yeah, we're going to try to, God, I hope my memory, Georgie was saying the same thing, so we're going to try to learn and do some gigs.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come back.
Relearn, sorry.
So are you going to be touring anytime soon with anybody? Are we going to be seeing
Sure,
you?
of course. I've got the 4th album on my label is an album I made in Italy.
In Italy?
With 2 Italian guys, yeah. It's El Sogno da Marinaio, and I'm going to do a tour in Europe of that. And then I'll come back, I'll do
beautiful.
Stooges tour in Europe. That's what they do. It'll be my 9th year of playing with the Stooges. They do festivals over there. And then in the fall time, I'll do a final tour of my 3rd opera, Hyphen Name Man, September and October. So that'll be a big whooper. But there were some towns, even though I did 52 gigs, 52 days last time, there's still a lot of towns. U.S. big land, you know.
Yeah.
Right. No,
So-
you can tell you love what you do because otherwise there's no way you could work this much.
I got to plan it out in advance. You're right about that.
So that's awesome. You definitely keep yourself busy.
Well, you never know how much time you have, you know, so I'm trying to pack in as much as I can.
I love that. I think that's
I'm
a
here
good
to
message
learn.
for everybody. Everybody needs to take that advice. You don't know how much time you have, so pack it in while you can.
Yeah, that's one of the very intense lessons I learned from D. Boone, you know.
Right.
Definitely. I think, you know, even the people who didn't know him, he was able to touch so many lives, and because you guys recorded it for us, he has touched lives of people for a long time to come, I'm sure, and that's a very beautiful thing.
You're very kind. I dedicate all my things to him. I wouldn't be doing this without him.
Yeah.
I got a book of my pictures coming out in March.
Oh, wow.
You know, I take pictures. I paddle my kayak and I ride my bike in the morning here in Pedro. And so they last year there was an art show of my pictures in Santa Monica. Now a New York publisher's putting out a book of it with some spiels from my tour diaries. I do tour diaries, you know.
So what's it called? Is that what it's called, Tour Diaries?
It's called On and Off Base.
On and Off Base. And that's a book that's coming out in March?
Yeah, on 3 Rooms Press. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks, Wyatt. Bye.
Right back.